Right, so here we got a guitar, and we're gonna talk about what are the things to consider when you're gonna buy a guitar. I'm not gonna go into the materials, which are also important, like a guitar made with rosewood, and different kinds of high quality materials will give you a better sound. And, right here, I have in my hand Alvarez guitar from Spain. And the very first thing I look in the guitar is the neck. This here is the neck of the guitar, and it has to be straight. It will influence highly influence the tuning of the guitar. So if the neck is straight, you get a higher possibility for the notes that you play to be tuned. Also, because the strings are gonna be closer to the frets. Here, these little metal bands here, these are the frets. And this is another thing that we're gonna check on when you are checking for the guitar. You take your hand and you move it through the neck. If there is at any point in the neck one of these frets that kind of like slices your fingers or something, that's not something you want. You want some frets that when you move your hand, it feels nice to the touch and it doesn't bother your finger at all, because sometimes you're gonna move up and down the guitar, and if they are sharp, they could hurt you. So this is not something you want. You want something that will be good for you, for your hand, so when you move it feels good and it doesn't harm you at any way. The other thing you're gonna look for is the height of the strings. If you look at this guitar here, you see there is a certain amount of space in between the strings and the guitar. And this space is kind of like in a parallel line all along the neck and down to the bridge. This is another important thing. There are some guitars which the distance of between the strings and the neck is about this high. That's not good, because then you need to exert more strength when you're pressing the strings, and especially when you're learning in the beginning, it's important that your fingers do not work too much, so you don't use so much muscle power. Instead, you use precision power, which is what we will be training in the course, when you learn a guitar to play. Now, the last thing to consider, especially regarding the sound and the duration of the sound. So when you play a string, that duration, it tells you the resonance of the box here, or of the body of the guitar. And the longer the resonance, the better the sound that you will get. And this is important. Oh, sorry, it's snowing today, cold weather, a little bit winter time. Okay, so now we talked about that. Now the next step is, how do you check it? How do you check the tuning? Because this is a very important thing as well. You could buy a guitar tuner, and actually put it on the guitar and play all the strings and see if they actually match the tuning that the tuner has. Or you could download a free app in the telephone. I myself use one that I will share with you in Facebook later. Which is called Sound Course at Metronome, and it's good because it has both the metronome and the tuner. And what you do is, first you play the string. I will tell you also in this PDF, you will know what is the frequency of each note, the names they are called, and you will get to understand that and to be able to use it very, very quickly. So the very first string, when you play it just like this without pressing anything, it has a certain frequency value, which means the string moves a certain amount of times per second, and that generates a sound which has its own name and its own frequency. And each string has its own frequency and sound, and that is what tuning will be. We want to be as close to that frequency as possible, which holds the names for the notes that we're playing. After you have checked that the strings in the open position have the sound and the tuning proper, then you begin to check fret by fret, which means you take one finger and you press on the first fret and you play the string, and then you move and you shake it with the tuner and see, mostly the first 5 frets in most guitars, they will always be tuned. It's starting from the 5th fret and going forward, where you will need to be more careful about shaking the tuning. Why is it so important that the tuning is good and the guitar is tuned? It's because, especially in the beginning, you are training your ears, so they will grow accustomed to a sound. And the sound that you want your ears to be trained to hear are the sounds that are actually matching the frequencies of the music that you want to play. Some people play a different kind of music than we do. We normally use the scale that Pythagoras built and comes from the Greek mathematics, and this is the Mayer scale called, and we tune up to 440 hertz per second in the A note, and all the calculations on the rest of the scales are done from that a specific position. But there are some other people that do microtonal music, and that's very different, and I think it's not something people want to start with. It's very confusing for the ear at first, because you will have a lot more than 12 notes. Actually, you will have infinite amount of notes in that. We don't want to go there. We want to stay with the normal, or with the Greek system of 12 notes Mayer scale, and that's actually pretty good. And most of the music we hear today, if not all, is made with that tuning. And you want your ears to be able to be attuned to that, so you can hear the sounds that are contained within that scale. That's the reason why one of the most important things is that your guitar tunes, the tuning is good, and that the strings are not so far apart from the neck, and that the neck is not twisted, that the neck is as straight as possible. So those are the 3 things you gotta remember. The other thing with resonance that's more important for advanced musicians when they want to perform many notes while holding one note for a longer time. So, like for example, if I were to do right now, this guitar is a little out of tune. I haven't tuned yet, but this is a different kind of thing you were looking for. When you're gonna buy a guitar, 3 things you gotta remember: the neck is straight, the strings are close to the neck is straight, so the strings are close and parallel to the neck. The frets are not sharp, so they don't harm your hands, and all the notes tune. So you have those 3 things. So the tuning is balance all through the neck, right? And this is it. Think about it a little bit. I will send you that PDF, and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon, and let's see what we do from there. And you can definitely learn to play the guitar and learn music. Happy New Year!